promoting dialogue.
It's midday in Dakar, 1 p.m. in Port Novo. Good afternoon, and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world on wadr.org. Welcome to Newslink. Here are the top stories. ECOWAS officially acknowledges the withdrawal of Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger from the bloc, but insists its doors are open for dialogue. In Benin, the trial of Olivier Bokor and Oswald Homeki continues this Wednesday at the Create. Nigeria's northeastern state of Borno hosts the 5th Governors Forum of the Lake Chad Basin Commission.
Expectedly, the 3-day event will begin with discussion on, of course, security and humanitarian trends, followed by the stabilization strategy, which has also been taking place since the last meeting.
Senegal and the European Union renew partnership agreements to strengthen key sectors such as energy and infrastructure.
We have focused our meeting today on economic and development issues, sustainable development issues, good governance, African engagement, as well as migration and urban mobility.
Please stay with us for details of these stories and more.
Here is Abdullahi Hassan with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining us and welcome to our listeners in the Gambia, Ghana, Liberia and Sierra Leone. Let's begin Newslink with perhaps the biggest story of the week, which is the official withdrawal of Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger from the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. In a statement today, Wednesday, January 29, the sub-regional organization confirmed the exit of the Sahelian state as requested by them in the same period last year. However, ECOWAS remain high-minded in dealing with the countries of the AES Confederation during the 6-month transitional period. Imoredet reports.
ECOWAS says in the spirit of regional solidarity and integration, passports of the citizens of the AES countries remain valid for travel within and outside the sub-region, as well as the continuation of the free movement of goods and services and visa-free movement. Their departure from the bloc has fractured the region and leaves the ECOWAS grouping with an uncertain future. In a statement, the bloc noted that it will continue to provide full support and cooperation to ECOWAS officials from the 3 countries in the course of their assignments for the community. The 3 junta-led countries formally notified ECOWAS of their plan for an immediate withdrawal in January 2024, citing the organization's excessive dependence on France in particular. Paris has become the 3 juntas' common enemy. They now favor partnerships with countries including Russia, Turkey and Iran. However, ECOWAS requires 1 year's notice for departure to be effective. That deadline falls this Wednesday. The 3 Sahelian countries have teamed up to form a separate confederation called the Alliance of Sahel States, AES.
Imoredet reporting there. Meanwhile, across the AES member countries, Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger, citizens on Tuesday marched on streets in capital cities to celebrate the 1st anniversary of the AES Confederation. In Ouagadougou, supporters of the current government stormed the Place de la Nation as well as other towns across the country. The day was also marked by the raising of the flags of the 3 countries at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Our correspondent Martin Kaba has the details in this report, voiced by Eche Atisu.
The national anthems of Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger were played at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Along the 3 flags was that of the Alliance of Sahel States. The occasion was a commemoration of the 1st anniversary of the departure of these countries from ECOWAS. Karamoko Jean-Marie Traoré is Burkina Faso's Minister of Foreign Affairs.
ECOWAS has taken measures against the Nigerians, it has taken measures against the Malians, and it has taken measures against the Burkinabés by deciding to confine the 3 countries economically, socially, and financially. It has betrayed its mission to be an ECOWAS of people, to offer the children of West Africa a future of peace. If it hadn't been for January 28, I'm sure Kidal would be still a long way from Bamako.
The ceremony is attended by delegations from the other 2 countries. The Burkinabe minister is convinced that this withdrawal from the sub-regional organization augurs a bright future for the AES member countries.
S'il n'y avait pas eu le 28 janvier, je suis sûr que Kidal...
Our three heads of state took the right measure of the real needs of their populations and made historic and courageous decisions that have enabled the alliance of three Sahel countries to renew their hope.
pays du Sahel de renouer avec l'espoir.
On the sidelines of the ceremony, a demonstration of support also took place at Ouagadougou's Place de la Nation. It was an opportunity for the demonstrators to express their support for the heads of state of the three countries of the Sahel Alliance.
HRTC with that report filed in by WADR's Ouagadougou correspondent Martin Kaba. Elsewhere, Nigeria's northeastern state of Borno is hosting the 5th Lake Chad Basin Commission Governors Forum on Peace Building and Sustainable Development in a region impacted by conflict and socio-economic destabilization. The 3-day event is themed Rebuilding the Lake Chad Basin, Consolidating Gains, Commitment to Peace, Cross-Border Cooperation, Security and Sustainable Development for a Resilient Community. The Yobe State government is partnering with the African Union AU and the United Nations Development Programme UNDP for the regional conference. Usman Omar is part of WADR's team in Maiduguri and now tells us more.
The forum, according to the organizers, aims to tackle the complex challenges posed by Boko Haram insurgency, which has persisted for over 15 years, resulting in widespread displacement and human rights abuses. Adding another layer to the crisis are climate change, marginalization, and extreme poverty. The Lake Chad Basin Commission's Regional Strategy for Stabilization, Recovery and Resilience, adopted in 2018, has reportedly led to improved social contracts between governments and communities, revitalized markets, and restored essential services. However, ongoing threats from armed groups alongside climate and demographic pressures pose significant hurdles. The forum, starting today till the 31st of this month, will serve as a critical platform to discuss strategies for enhancing stability and security, demobilization efforts, and food security. A security expert in the Lake Chad region, Hamza Suleiman, speaks on the potential of the forum in the efforts to combat the myriad of existential threats in the region.
Expectedly, the 3-day event will begin with discussion on, of course, security and humanitarian trends, followed by the stabilization strategy, which has also been taking place since the last meeting. It is very, very important engagement because it's an opportunity for the government to reel out their problems, the funders, who are the humanitarian actors, and to be able to provide those durable solutions to ensure the stabilization of not just the northeast here in Nigeria, but the entire Lake Chad region.
For the next 3 days, representatives of state and national governments, civil society, security and data analysts, and international stakeholders will brainstorm on strategic measures to stabilize the Lake Chad region. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar reporting from Abuja.
In Benin, the trial of Olivier Boko and Oswald Homiki entry order defendant continues this Wednesday before the court for the repression of economic offenses and terrorism create. Accused of conspiracy against state authority, corruption and forgery, they all pleaded not guilty. At the court on Tuesday, the hearing was marked by the testimonies of 3 of the co-defendants, while Boko and Homiki refused to speak in the absence of their lawyers. Since the beginning of the trial, the accused have no longer had a defense following their withdrawal, while they contest the composition of the court and refuse to represent them. Following the request of Special Prosecutor Mario Metonu, the court rejected a request by the accused for additional time to appoint new counsel.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
As a reminder, we're live on WADR.org and on Facebook, WADR English Service. Here in Senegal, following Tuesday's partnership dialogue between the government and European Union EU on strengthening development in key sectors, Dakar and Brussels reached an agreement to exchange deeper information amongst the partners. The Vision Senegal 2050 development strategy and other sustainable measures to achieve such a development plan were key on the agenda. WADR's Augustine Coley, who was at the event, reports that both parties renewed their partnership.
The partnership dialogue focused on the economic and financial situation in Senegal, addressing the business climate, job creation, and the strategic modernization of public services. Senegalese Minister of African Integration and Foreign Affairs, Yassine Fall, co-chaired the meeting.
The political dialogue is a mechanism that allows the two parties to meet regularly, on average once a year, to discuss a number of issues. It is in this spirit and taking into account the adoption of the Senegal 2050 vision that we have focused our meeting today on economic and development issues, sustainable development issues, good governance, African engagement, as well as migration and urban mobility.
Meanwhile, the European Union ambassador to Senegal, Jean-Marc Pisani, expressed the EU's commitment to assisting Senegal in achieving its Vision 2050 agenda.
The partnership, which is covering a lot of important economic issues, and which is aligned with the ideas, which is called now the Senegal 2050. A lot of activities, the green transition, for instance, is important, the renewable energy, the young population of Senegal. In the European Union, we have a comprehensive approach on migration, which is covering all fields of migration, and we have regular exchange of views with Senegal, and to develop a common approach on migration.
The one-day Senegal-European Union Partnership Dialogue represents an early commitment to promoting good governance, democracy, and human rights in Senegal. It is a long-standing partnership in which both parties emphasized the importance of national and regional security as well as sustainable development plans.
Augustine Coley reporting there, still in Senegal, but with a focus on oil and gas. The government is investing $1 billion in the construction of pipelines to export crude. The 400 kilometers project, which is already in its first phase, aims to ensure the country's energy supply and strengthen its attractiveness to foreign investors. The state announced this project that will connect the various production sites to consumption centers months after it commenced oil exploitation and made its first commercial export. The first section of this network is already under construction and should represent an investment of nearly $320 million. Gambians have expressed disappointment after two central bank employees were caught in possession of large sums of money, including foreign currency. Meanwhile, they have called for a swift investigation into the matter and bring the culprits to justice. From Banjul, Sankle Janko reports.
First reported as a speculation, authorities later confirmed the arrest of two Central Bank of the Gambia (CBJ) employees at the checkpoint in the Lower River region. Lamin Dabo and Famaranjai were intercepted last week by officers of the Drug Law Enforcement Agency, carrying $57,000 and $370,000. Dabo and Jai told the agency that they were sent by a senior government official but refused to reveal his identity. The public relations officer of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Musa Sediba, has been speaking to WADR.
Lamin Maron, the staff of the Central Bank, indicated that the $57,800 was given to him by a senior official of the Central Bank for onward delivery to his father. Asked about the reason why such huge amount was with them, he said that it's only the person who given the money to give to his father that can clarify that. However, they have been handed over to the Gambian police force for further investigation into the matter, and necessary actions will be taken accordingly.
Meanwhile, Gambians have expressed disappointment with perhaps the most credible and trusted institution, the Central Bank of the Gambia.
It is deeply disappointing and frustrating. It's to undermine public trust in such an important institution.
As a Gambian, I definitely felt so disappointed seeing employees of an institution that is once or that have been a symbol of stability and integrity.
They are calling for a swift and thorough investigation into the matter.
Let them try and hold them, everybody accountable.
I would want the governor of the Central Bank of the Gambia to resign immediately in order to allow independent investigations.
Anti-corruption campaigners have argued that although the Gambia enacted the anti-corruption law last year, the menace is allegedly rampant among civil servants. Civil society organizations are, for their part, calling for non-interference in the ongoing investigations. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, I'm Sankule Jenke reporting from Banjul.
You are listening to Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM, Dakar, Senegal, and live on WADR.org. Here's a reminder of our top stories. ECOWAS officially acknowledges the withdrawal of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger from the bloc, but insists its doors are open for dialogue. In Benin, the trial of Olivier Bokor and Oswald Homeke continues this Wednesday at the Create. Nigeria's northeastern state of Borno hosts the 5th Governors Forum of the Lake Chad Basin Commission. Senegal and European Union renew partnership agreements to strengthen key sectors such as energy and infrastructure. Still ahead in the news, we have the press review, guest interview, and sports news. Please stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
We head to Liberia, where the Vanguard Student Unification Party has criticized President Joseph Boakar's State of the Nation address. The Revolutionary Student Unification Party described his statement as unrealistic amidst pressing social challenges and advancing economic difficulties. From Monrovia, Grace Joshua has the rest of the details.
The students' political group said Liberians are victims of lies and corruption, stating that street vendors, motorcyclists, men and women of consciousness are left without hope. At Tuesday press conference at the state-run university, SUB, the student group, expressed disappointment in President Joseph Boakar's State of the Nation address. For Sylvester Wadr, chairman of the student political group, Boakar's statement is nothing but deception and false promises.
The government promised to ensure stable political and socio-economic environment to ensure and prioritize sustainable economic growth and job creation by attracting private investment. But unfortunately, unemployment is at a peak and eating is an achievement.
The Student Unification Party said it has examined major sectors of the country after 1 year of President Boakar's presidency and realized there is a lack of social protection for poor and vulnerable people. The nation is also economically undermined, says Sylvester Wadr.
The method of rescue mission is contrary to what the people anticipated after 1 year. It is very unfortunate for a government under a 42 years experienced president will manage to keep a country after 1 year in extreme hardship coupled with unprecedented economic difficulty.
The Liberian leader, during his address on Monday, showed of a stable political and social environment, sustainable economic growth and job creation by attracting private investments. Concerned citizens and observers, however, says these are similar to his campaign promises that largely remain unaccomplished. For West Africa Democracy Radio, I'm Grace Joshua in Monrovia.
This is the newspaper review. Stay abreast and find out what the top stories are in your country.
This is the newspaper review.
The newspaper review.
WADR's Sankule Jankwin Banjul is standing by with today's press review.
Hello there and welcome to this edition of the press review coming to you from Banjul, the Gambia. Let's begin today's press review with the Point newspaper. And the lead story on the Point newspaper reads, Government to allocate annual budget for reparations, with the photo of Dauda A. Jallow, the Minister of Justice and the Attorney General and Minister of Justice. Works Minister says new road projects have opened up Gambia. New investor secures 30-year ownership at Gambia ports. Minister warns agencies against overpricing ahead of the 2025 Hajj. Q Group Foundation awards 20 university students with STEM scholarship. And this other one reads, Mbemba Drame authorities ordered each to forfeit $100,000 to state. Let's move on to the Fourier newspaper. And the lead story on the Fourier newspaper reads, Government opens pre-selection process of Gambians for work in Spain, with the photo of Ibrahim G. Sankare, the government spokesperson. A press release was issued indicating inviting applications for Gambians who are interested in working in Spain. Magistrate on trial for theft and dealing with prohibited drug. FPAC recommends police to investigate missing vouchers. Account assistant admins suppressing funds in confession before commissioning. Q Group Foundation doubles STEM scholarship to empower Gambian youth. Let's take a look at the final newspaper for today, and that is the Standard newspaper. And the lead story on the Standard newspaper reads, Magistrate, 2 orders stand trial for drug dealing fraud. That's the lead story on the Standard newspaper. Gambian wins substantial compensation in UK despite being jailed for 6 years. Contractor promises to deliver Kiang West Road in April. Travel agencies overcharging pilgrims to lose license. That's according to the Minister of Local Government and Religious Affairs, of course, Amat N.K. Ba. Barrow says GRA's revenue collection driving government developments. And let's take a look at the final story for today, and it reads, the only option for Jammeh is to face court. That is according to human rights activist Madi Jobati. I'm afraid these are the major stories making headlines on Gambian dailies, and it's back to you in the studio.
Many thanks, Sam Kulijanko, for the press review.
Politics,
Analysis on major news,
social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Our guest this afternoon is Anthony Akwaye, a regional policy analyst from Ghana. Akwaye speaks about the official withdrawal of the AES countries, namely Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, from the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. While the regional powerhouse in a statement outlined some standard benefits for the Sahelan countries and the populations there, Akwaye fears that any gap in the coordination response plan in the fight against terrorism will threaten regional peace and stability.
Well, thank you so much. I think that in the first place, it's really unfortunate that ECOWAS was not able to resolve the issue, which has finally resulted in the withdrawal of Burkina Faso, Niger, and that of Mali. But for me, if you look at some of the solidarity and then that of certain policies that the ECOWAS believe that even though they are existing, but there's a need to share that common belief. Yes, you could see some advantages in terms of economic benefits, where the community has already, agreed to accept goods and services from these, countries, and also recognizing some, people who are having passports that had ECOWAS logo. But for me, as an expert, I think that one of the fundamental issues that has been the issue of terrorism within the Sahel, unfortunately, if you look at the statement that came from ECOWAS, did not establish how best they are going to ensure regional cooperation to fight, this issue of terrorism. Because if you care to know, terrorism is one of the critical national security issues that one country cannot fight on its own. And so with the fallout from these, 3 countries, that is going to make, cooperation, intelligence sharing, and other security approach in fighting this terrorism very difficult, I must say.
Do you think ECOWAS still has a chance to at least negotiate with these countries in the next 6 months?
Yeah, obviously, I think that ECOWAS still have the chance to negotiate, especially if you cast your mind back and you see some of the African leaders who were in power or in office when this whole, Buhari started. Thank be to God, we have had a number of new presidents coming in, and I believe that with their liberal approach of cooperation and collaboration, they should be able to assist the leadership of ECOWAS to be able to communicate with these 3 countries in order to come back into the bloc. Because whilst we leave them to go, it weakens, the bloc in terms of its fight against terrorism, and then so many other aspects which together they could have made. I believe that if you look at Ghana with the election of President John Dramani Mahama and his appointment,
he happened to appoint retired Colonel Bobolate, who is going to be an envoy to the Sahel. That actually tells you that the president of Ghana is willing to cooperate, is willing to collaborate with the Sahel, all these countries within the Sahel, in order to ensure that they approach all factors in terms of security, in terms of economic, to the benefit of their countries. And so for me, I think that for President Mahama to be able to appoint, an envoy within that Sahel region, that should tell you that he should be able to use, that cooperative approach in collaborating with his colleagues, head of state within the ECOWAS sub-region, in order to make sure that they go back to the negotiation table and bring them back to the community.
Anthony Akwai is a policy analyst. In the world of sports, the Super Eagles of Nigeria have been drawn against Tunisia, Tanzania and Uganda for the upcoming Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco. The Nigerian team was drawn in Group C during the ceremony that was held in Morocco on Monday. The mouth-watering encounter in the group will see Nigeria battling against the Carthage Eagles of Tunisia. Champions on home soil in 2004, Tunisia eliminated Nigeria in the semi-final before defeating Morocco in the final. The Tunisian team also knocked out Nigeria in the round of 16 of AFCON 2021 in Cameroon. Nigeria defeated Tunisia 4-2 on its way to the AFCON final against Cameroon in Lagos in 2000. Though Nigeria and Tunisia are more accomplished teams in Group C, these African teams of Tanzania and Uganda will likely challenge the two automatic qualifying spots. And with that, we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Mustafa Sek and Sheikh Njai for the technical support. Do interact with us via social media platforms, X, Instagram at WADR News, on Facebook, WADR English Service, and live on WADR.org. Coming up at the bottom of the hour is our flagship gender program 50-50 with Nadir Tete, to be followed at the top of the hour of 1 p.m. By the second edition of our comprehensive news package in French, Info Chez Vous, with Mustafa Jakiti. I'm Abdullahi Hassan. Good afternoon.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, New Me FM 94.